Hey guys, Kid here of Burn 1. We're going to be doing some deck profiles of some series that don't get enough love because people might consider them not competitive enough. Seeing that the Spring Fest season's coming up and that's the time when you can experiment a little bit more with different decks that aren't as popular or believed to be as strong, I figured we'd do some deck profiles on those series that aren't as popular. So starting it all off, we have Fate Apocrypha here. This is actually a deck of mine that I love to play. It's just probably I wouldn't take it in if I'm considering going to win an entire event by myself, but at a team event, hey, this is actually probably pretty good like rogue choice to go with. So starting off here, we'll start with the level 0 game. One of the strongest points of this level 0 game is actually this Master of Qualification Siege. It has a really good bond to it, which makes it very powerful, and it helps you manipulate your deck. It has a demerit of that all your other characters can't side attack, which sometimes is unfortunate, but this card at 0 basically beats everything in the game because when it does come into play, it's a 3k base, but you mill 2 cards from the top card of your deck to the waiting room, and for every Master Servant or Homunculus trait character you mill, it gains 1k power. So generally, most of the time, this is a 5k beater at level 0. Not a lot of things can contest that. It also, because we get a bond and mill for free from this, you get to have pretty precise deck control for early on in the game, and you can cycle through your deck early on to get to a very good refresh, which is really great. And at 0, this can't be contested, and at 3k base power is tough for some decks to even deal with, considering that we do play the Secret of Pledge Saber of Red as one of the main brainstormers in this set. You drop that Siege in the center slot, it's 3-5 on defense after being 5-5 the turn you attack with it, which is pretty powerful. So this level 0 can even probably fight some level 1s as well. And then of course, because we play this brainstorm, we play 4 of the rest self brainstorm, and for every climax you mill, you get to salvage 1. Standard brainstorm, very powerful. It has the effect that it can't be targeted, which is kind of cool. So in some cases towards the end of the game, you might come in some situations where you can actually attack with this and get some value out of that effect. But generally, overall, this is a pretty solid brainstorm. I guess now that I think about it, it counters Goblin Slayer a little bit. They can't move your brainstorm up to the front row to kill it with the torch. This is kind of funny. Next, for a little bit more deck control, it's not needed as much. That's why we only play it as a 2 of here. But the Scattered Petals Berserker of Black, it's just On Death Rize, I believe, or Akatsuki. So when it goes to the waiting room, you discard a card and look up to top 4, add a Master Servant trait character from your deck to your hand. Most of the cards are Master Servant trait, so it's just kind of fixed for anything. It helps us set up our level 1 game, which, as you saw earlier, it's going to be the Stolfo level 1 game, because personally I believe that's the strongest level 1 game you can play in Apocrypha if you can get away with it. Next, this is the Bonder to the Sieg, for the level 0 Sieg. That's really powerful. So this is the Relieved Expression Rider of Black. It's the Stolfo level 0 Bonder. So on play, you can discard a card from your hand to bond to the level 0 Sieg, which is pretty powerful in my opinion, since it's a free bond. You can get rid of climaxes that get stuck in your hand or anything like that, or hand fix or ditch the level 3s that are going to be useless until later in the game. And also, you can kind of loop around the Sieg to be able to control your deck manipulation on, the amount of cards are left in your deck. On top of this has another really powerful plussing effect at 0 and throughout the game too whenever you get to open up lane. So at the beginning of your opponent's draw phase, you reveal the top card of your deck. If that card's level 1 or higher, you may return this level 0 to your hand. So you can do loops of multiple bonding off this card if you choose to side attack with a climax or something like that, or attack into an empty lane. It's really cool, lets you have a very more aggressive level 0 line play if you'd like. If you want to go with the coin flippy gambling at level 0, and if sometimes it pays off very hard and pays dividends later down the line. We only play this as 3. You can consider bumping this as up to a 4 of if you really, really like it. If you want to drop the 1 of free runner that I do run in this list, I play it because that expression's good, and also it's a free runner. Sometimes opening up a free runner is better than the coin flip, but generally you want more of the coin flip anyway to get the level 0 Sieg. Then right here we have a 1 drop searcher. It's a drop searcher, what can I say? And it's a red. It helps us color fix a little bit for our gate climax that we play. Final level 0 game, unfortunately, because of how if you guys aren't aware, the weakness of Astolfo is that it lacks a lot of power. So decks that build up walls at 1 makes it really hard for you to get any value off the Astolfo. So we obviously have to play some power bump, and this is the best power bump in the set for the most part. So we play it as a 3 of. It sucks kind of that we do have to do that, but it is what it is. So if you have a full field when this attacks, you can give a character like 2k power, which is pretty good. A level 1 game here, we play obviously the Rider of Black, the Astolfo level 1 game. It's basically the Aaron combo, but a little bit better in a sense. Not really. It lacks a lot of power, which is unfortunate. So with Climax, it's only at most 6k, which really, really hurts. Like if your opponent drops to level 1, like 1175, so you just kind of cry a little bit. What's so good about this card is that when you reverse your battle opponent, you get the bounce back effect like Aaron, but also you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a Homunculus, Master, or Servant trait character, you add it to your hand. So basically, as long as you don't hit a Climax, you're going to plus. But in this case, we play 8 plus in Climaxes, so no matter what you hit, you always plus 1 off of this Climax combo, as long as you get the reverse, which is really great, and then you plus again when they front attack this Astolfo, which is really, really solid. Sometimes you're able to loot this like 2 to 3 times. If you're able to do that, I feel like you're in a super winning position for the rest of the game with this deck, because you need to crunch on Brainstorm a little bit too much sometimes just to be able to set up your level 3 game. Next we play the Savagery Assassin of Black. This is Jack. What's really good about this card is on play, you get to top check the card of your deck and leave it there or put it to the bottom of your deck, and then it's a cost 0 reverser, so it kills most things except when you play against standby, it kind of hurts you. But the fact that you get a top check and manipulate the top card of your deck makes it so you can have like 5 card Brainstorms, which is really important in this deck, especially through first deck. If you can hit some Brainstorms early on or even later in the game, it's just going to be really powerful for you because, like I said, you got to crunch on Brainstorms a couple times in this deck to be able to set up a proper hand for level 3. And it costs 0. You beat things like errands. If you get hit level 1 first, you beat Goblin Slayers and stuff like that. So it is a problematic card in some cases. You could even bring this up to 4 if you guys like, but I have this at 3, which seems to be working out decently well so far. Next, this is another card here that I think is kind of like a surprise, but the main reason this card's in the list is 1, it provides an assist power to the front, so you can give a little extra power to your Astolfo or anything else you need. But it also has a self-tap Brainstorm. So like I said, you got to crunch a little bit on Brainstorm in this deck, and sometimes it's really tough to have this out on the field, the Saber of Red Brainstorm, because sometimes you need to actually level it up. So because of the red count we run in this deck, that's why we run some extra Brainstormers. It has an extra 500 power assist, which is pretty decent, and then it's a search Brainstorm instead for Master or Servant. So it kind of gets everything from your deck, except the only difference here is Saber of Red will be able to get your Homunculus characters that you run a couple of, whereas this card will not be able to do that. Finally, this is one of the reasons I think this card, or this deck, can function the way it does, is we have our 1 of 1/1 level assist here. The first effect is useless. We don't play any cards named Homunculus in this deck, but it's a level assist for all our cards, which is powerful, but the act effect it has is really strong in this deck. So you can choose one of your Homunculuses to send it from the field to your stock. So what can we do here? So we hit some really good Brainstorms, or we get multiple Astolfos off and get a really big hand. You can make plays like dropping Rider of Black here to bond to this level 0 Sieg to mill 2 more cards in your deck to get to your next refresh quicker, and then go ahead, tap this, and put that level 0 into your stock, which is pretty cool. You got to build some extra stock, mail some cards around and stuff like that. So essentially you're just transferring a card from your hand into your stock. What's also cool, it has a really cool interaction with our level 3 game here, which is Deprived Dragon Fafnir. This card also has the Homunculus trait. So you can do things like play this, heal, give our other level 3 the burn 1 effect, and then tap this to send the Fafnir to stock. So essentially making this pay 1, heal 1, burn 1 on cancel like event basically, which is really cool. Also, like I said, the good interactions with the other Homunculus trait stuff. Other than that, it's just our level assist. You kind of want this out early if you can, because you can kind of build up and manipulate your stock enough to like get some really crazy compression going. A lot of times too, you can just trade in a Sieg here, like quote unquote traded in to pay for your brainstorm off of this brainstorm or this brainstorm to hit more often, or pay back the stock you used to pay for the brainstorm, which is kind of cool. It is a stock out as well because it does cost 1 to come into play, so you can make some weird stock out plays like that. Next, our level 2 game. We don't have a lot of stuff to deal with big things at level 2, so obviously we have to play some ways to remove those from the board. So we're just playing 2 Lancers of Black. It does have a secondary effect of on play, you get minus 1k somewhere, so you can use that effect to help maybe get another reverse with your Astolfo level 1. But besides that, it's just on reverse bottom deck higher level opponents than your opponent's level, which is good. We play one of Deep Satisfaction Berserker of Black. This is just, the anti-early play counter. Sometimes people play awkward just because you show it to them, which is kind of funny. And other times, you drop this out and then they are either forced aside, or if they don't, you can just like an anti-damage counter. It eats into a lot of your stock, which kind of sucks. But, just playing it in your deck is pretty powerful in the sense that, threatening your opponent with it is always like a good option, but not very needed. Finally, what I think makes this deck super powerful is its level 3 game here. So I'm going to start off with this level 3 Astolfo first because it's more of a level 2 play. Sometimes you're in a position where, you get this Astolfo level 1 bounce back to your hand. You can go ahead and clock it and then bring this out early, since if you have the level 1 Astolfo in your clock, this gets minus 1 level in hand and it gains 4k power at the start of your opponent's draw phase. Or not specifically this card, you can choose any card. Generally, you just save the Astolfo most of the time because it's a 2-soul beater, which is pretty good. So this also guarantees that you're going to have an open lane against your opponent at level 2 if they have to crash into this to maintain damage. So then you can like play other things into the open slot, like the coin flip, for example, and get it back to your hand, which is kind of cool. Bond to the Sieg and send it to stock, which is also nice, all in the same turn, which is pretty cool. So it kind of makes up to always having that open lane there. But to get back into the rest of the level 3 game, this is the part that I think makes it so powerful. It's an uninteractive, basically, level 3 game that if you're able to combo off completely, your opponent usually dies from 3-0 most of the time. So this ruler level 3 is incredibly powerful. So during your turn, it's 10k base, but then gains 500 power for each of your other characters. So generally a full board makes it 12k. On top of that is when it comes into play, you can discard a card from your hand. And if you do, it gains 6,500 power. So we're up to 18,500 power now without any support. So this is one of the big reasons why we don't have to worry about bouncing anything in some matchups like against Albuda and stuff like that. And then it gains the effect at the beginning of the Encore step. You burn 1 damage and then you send this to waiting room. And then you choose this level 1 that we don't run from your waiting room and put it on stage. The level 1 kind of sucks, so we don't play it, but what's really cool about this is we just kind of blow up our own field to do extra damage. It gets really big, so we're guaranteed to reverse most of the time, just to clear our opponent's board. And then your opponent can't get any of their own Climax combos off that way, and you kind of force them to swing kind of big into you. What's really cool about the extra damage part, too, is that like this card will do 2 instances of damage, which is really good because we get a combo with Fafnir. So when this comes into play, you heal 1, like I said earlier, but when it also comes into play, you can choose one of your other characters and it gains the following effect that once per turn this effect activates, when damage is cancelled, you may deal 1 damage to your opponent. So the idea of our end game here, and then at the Encore phase, this card goes to memory face down. So once again, it clears your own board, so your opponent can't like run Mikasa against you, or not as well at least. So what's really cool about this is we can loop this around with multiple copies, use the 1/1 to send it to stock, so we can pay for another one, and we keep stacking it on top of Ruler. And then what happens here is we kind of swing big with Ruler with a Climax or something. And then if that like damage goes through, say we go through, we trigger, we hit for 4, it sticks. Then at the end, we sack it and burn 1. And if that burn 1 cancels, then they got to take a bunch of pings for 1. There's been a lot of times where like I've hit people to like 3-5 and like have like 3 to 4 Fafnir stacks on top of the Ruler, sack it, and they cancel and then have to take like 3 ping 1s for game on top of the other 2 lanes of Rulers that you might have out as well. So like it has a really interesting combo together on this, which is really, really cool. Another combo piece we include here, just for an extra one, is we play an Assassin of Black level 3 here. So this is so if your opponent can't play any backups or anything weird like that, or any free fresh stuff like that. But when this comes in play, you can draw 2 cards and then discard 1. This replaces a card in your hand. So if you need to find a Climax or something like that to push for extra damage, you can. If you want to find another ruler or any other piece of the puzzle here, this kind of helps you a little bit. But because we're not clutching so bad on needing a Climax to do our finishing turn, the draw isn't that important. That's why we only kind of play it as a one of, because we already play 4 ruler. On top of that, it also helps combo off if we don't have enough rulers or we don't want to use it on a ruler. We can put all the Fafnir stacks on Assassin of Black, and then when it attacks, you can ditch 2 cards to burn 1, and if that cancels, then they like take 3 pings of 1 for it. Otherwise, then you go in for another swing. If that cancels, they get 3 pings for 1, which is hilarious. And yeah, so like this entire lineup at level 3 is like the reason you would kind of want to play this deck, because it's a really fun when you get there and you build up the stock to go for it. And pushing for game with this deck is pretty easy for the most part. You get lots of kills when people are between like 3-0 and like 3-3. It's like really easy to close out games with this deck. Finally, we play 2 Climaxes. Like I said earlier, there are 8 plussing trigger Climaxes, 4 books, obviously, for the Climax combo. And then we play 4 gates for the just the gate trigger, basically. Besides that, this is the whole deck, guys. It's a pretty cool deck. If you guys have the set, you should check it out, see if it's something you'd have a lot of fun with. I think you'd enjoy it. If you're not too big of a fan of the Astolfo level 1 game plan, you can always switch over to the ruler level 1, which I don't think is as powerful in a sense for this deck. You probably have to end up making some other minor changes, like change this Astolfo level 3 early play into the ruler early play maybe, but I don't think it works very well with the deck's game plan overall. But it's worth a shot checking it out. But this is generally the deck I think is the most fun and the most powerful overall for the Fate Apocrypha deck. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. Maybe some of you are going to end up using this in Springfest. If you do, let me know. Let me know how you like this deck. Comment below if you have any questions about the deck. I'll help answer anything I can. Other than that, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Later. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you do enjoy our content, as it does help us grow. And check out some of these social media links below.